Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the I Don't Even Know podcast. I'm Em. Hope you're doing well. Today, this episode, I wanted to do something kind of in honor of a year since season 4 of Nancy Drew started airing. And so I'm doing another rant episode. And this time, it's going to be about Nancy Nace, aka Nace. This episode has been a long time coming. By that, I mean it's been almost a year since I wanted to do this. I never did. I'm not sure why. I just think it was a lot. And I wanted to do it back in June. And of course, season 4 was still airing at that point. The show ended in August, at the end of August. And I wanted to do it after episode 3 because that fucked me up to an extent, and I was such a mess after that. I wanted to do it, but I couldn't function, and I also just had no idea what was happening. I was such a mess. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait, and then I don't know why I just never did it. I just never did, and I knew I had to do it eventually because I don't have I talk to people about it occasionally. I talk to my best friend about it. Even though she hasn't seen it yet, she likes when I rant to her. And specifically about this show, because she's really excited to watch it. And she knows, she kept up with it. Or, not up with it, but she would always ask me each week how it went after I talked to her about it. And it's just, I need to, I wasn't able to, really, go, tell her everything. I told her a good amount of it. But I couldn't, go full out and, just, go on a whole rampage about it. And that's why I'm doing this. Because I think it's must needed. Because the buzz, the brain rot that I still get from these two is actually insane. The fact that they are not coming back to me has not processed. And, it's, first of all, so upsetting that the CW even canceled the show. This was genuinely one of the best shows on the CW at that point. And it was just so good, so well done. And I'm still so mad about it. And I have not wrapped my head around the fact that it's done. I have in a way, but then you know how you think you have, but then something, you keep thinking they're going to come back to you eventually. That's where I am. It just hasn't hit me, and I don't know why. Before season 4 started airing, I came to terms with the fact that it was ending, but then when it started, I just couldn't. And I don't know why. Maybe it was the fact that season 4 was the first season of the show that I started. I watched live, because I started the show back in 2022 at the very beginning. I think season 3 was kind of ending at that point, or it was still going on, but it was close to the end, because I remember I was watching it when the season 3 finale came out. But I heard so many great things about the show, so I was okay, I might as well watch it, because it's been on my list. But I'm hearing a lot of good things, and a lot of people who watched Legacies were watching it. So I was okay, let's fucking go. Let's get started. So I decided to. And I really got into it. I really enjoyed it. But I don't know what happened between, the time of season 3. I finished season 3 to season 4. I don't know what the hell happened during that time. Because, yes, I was into it. I was invested. But season 4 was on another level for me. My investment, insane. I loved the show. I did. I loved the characters. But I wasn't this invested. And I really did not think it was going to get to this point. Because, when I found out it got canceled, I was, of course, heartbroken. Because it was, it's so good. And I knew, it deserved a couple more seasons. I mean, there were so many shows that are trash that are still going on. For much longer. This deserved to go on for a while. And so I was heartbroken, but I was okay, I'll live, I'll get over it. somehow, like, I will somehow figure it out, you know. I was like, okay, you know, it's fine. And I of course, I'm always sad about shows getting canceled, but, like, I got over it. I did until season 4. And the main reason I was so invested was because of Nancy and Ace. I don't know what happened. I'm still trying to figure it out because it doesn't make sense to me. Because, like, for season 4, I remember I was really excited for it to come back because I've missed them. And I think it was maybe, like, the fact that, like, I hadn't gotten anything, like, from them in, like, a year. So it'd been a while. And also the way they ended season 3. Like, season 3 is when I started shipping. Or the end of season 2 was when I started shipping them. Season 3 was when I was, like, really on board. And, of course, I bawled my eyes out on season 3 finale. That was, like, the worst thing on the planet. Or, actually, no, episode 4 of season 4, episode 3 was worse. But it was rough. I remember bawling my eyes out. I remember yelling in my room. It was just such a disaster. And I think it was also from, like, how it ended with them. I was like, okay, I need something. I need it. But, like, I didn't, like, some shows, when, like, I'm waiting for a season, when I'm so into it, I'm, like, so on edge until I get a new season. And that's not how I felt for this show. Like, I loved it, but it was fine. And then I remember season 4, I didn't watch it right when it came out. I watched it, like, 2 days after because I wasn't able to. And that's when, like, everything changed in a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but, like, I was so into it. It's like, that's when I realized, I was like, okay, I'm, like, in love with Nancy and Ace, like, 100%. Like, I already loved them, I already shipped them, but that's when I was like, okay, like, they're about to become, a favorite of mine, because I was so giddy every time they popped up on my screen. I was screaming, I was hyperventilating, and that's when I know how much I love a ship, is when I do that, whenever they pop up on my screen. And I was like, okay. And I had a great time, literally the best time ever. And I was like, okay, you know, like, I'm so into this. Like, what the hell? Even though I already was, but, you know, I was even more. I was like, okay. And then episode 2, again, I couldn't watch it live. I don't know what happened. I think, again, I was doing something, so I couldn't. So I watched it the next day. And that was, like, I got into it even more. And I was like, okay, hell yeah, like, let's go. Like, this is incredible. I was having the time of my life because episode 2 was so funny and it was so good. And it was before all the trauma that season 4 caused me. And I was having such a good time. And then, like, that's when, like, I think episode 2 was really when I got, like, okay, like, super into it. And I was like, I was having a good-ass time. And, like, I was on edge, like, the rest of the week. And, like, so excited for episode 3 because of the theories on Twitter and from what Kennedy said. I don't even remember what she said, but she was saying how it's a good episode and it's insane. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, Nancy and Ace are gonna break the curse this episode. We're finally getting them. Like, let's go. And I was like, okay, perfect. Let's fucking go. Like, I've been waiting for this. Like, I need it. Especially because of how obsessed with them I became. And then, of course, as you know, episode 3, I watched it live, or I started a few minutes late, but I did watch, for the most part, I watched it live. That was, like, one of the worst things I experienced with the show. And, like, no one died, first of all. That's what I thought was so funny about, like, or now I think back and it's so funny to me because no one died. But it traumatized me like someone did die on a show. Like, I remember I was so excited going into it. So beyond excited. I was like, oh my gosh, like, let's go. Like, I'm finally going to get them. It's going to be a good day. And I was having the time of my life because we were getting so much content. Like, we found out that Ace had feelings for her since, like, the moment he saw her in like, high school. I'm like, oh my gosh. And we found out when she liked him. And it was just so perfect. And that, like, one scene of her drawing that, like, Nancy scar or whatever, like, I'm pretty sure that's what they called it. Insane. Because, first of all, that man is so fucking fine. so fine. Like, oh my gosh. Like, he looked so good in that. I was literally losing my mind. And then the way she was looking at him was insane. Like, girl, like, it's good that the curse only involves touching, because girl was eating him, like, up with her eyes. Like, girl wanted to devour him. And do I blame her? Not at all. Like, honestly, same. But it was just, like, the way she was looking at him was the most insane thing ever. And I will never shut up about it. Like, that was crazy. Like, oh. Like, literally, I will never shut up about the way she looked at him in that scene. Like, insane. And so, like, we were having such a good time. And, like, that, and just them talking and saying what they're gonna do when they break the curse. And I was like, okay, this is so happening. I think I just didn't want to admit to myself, like, some shit might happen and we're gonna be fucked. I think I also, like, just didn't want to think about that. But I was like, okay, we're still back. Like, let's go. And I hadn't gone on Twitter at all, because I was a bit behind and because I didn't want to know anything. Like, I was like, there's no way in hell. Like, there's some, like, times when I'm watching a show that I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like, I don't care. But this one, I was like, I need to experience it all just without knowing anything. I was like, okay, like, woo. And I really thought we were getting there. Like, everything was going well-ish. And then we got to the kiss. And, oh my gosh, like, first of all, best fucking first kiss I've seen on TV, or at least one of them. It was incredible. Oh my gosh. Like, I remember sitting in my room, like, hyperventilating, so wanting to scream. I actually think I did scream into my pillow. But I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Like, we made it. Especially because he was like, I know you've done this before, but this is my first time. And he went in. I mean, they both did, because it was real. Like, last time, she thought it was. It was, in fact, not. And, like, I was so happy. I was just like, okay, we're, like, so here. Like, we finally made it out of this drought. Like, we're so gonna, like, have a good time, like, the rest of the season. And then, you know, the shit happened. She collapsed, the moths and everything. She almost died. Her heart stopped. And that was the end of that. And I remember watching it. I was like, oh my gosh, you've got to be shitting me. Like, maybe it's just, like, an effect of the curse breaking that, like, this shit happens. Like, I was in such denial because I was so desperate. So desperate. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this cannot happen to me. I just want happiness. Like, oh my gosh. It's like, oh my gosh, especially because of how into it I got. Like, this, like, episode 2 was the moment I was, like, head over heels in love with them. Like, even though I already adored them, but, like, really into it, like, full out, like, obsessed with them. Like, they became my personality. And I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that that did not work, because she was in the hospital. And, like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, fuck, like, we're fucked. But then what really got me, and I think what got everyone, was the ending of, like, that episode when, like, she was, like, telling him, like, I'm gonna figure it out, we're gonna break the curse. And he was like, no, like, I can't. That's when I lost my shit, because I was like, okay, there's gonna be another way, like, 100% they're gonna do it. And the fact that Ace was, like, fine with it, as long as she wasn't in danger. Like, he did not care about putting himself in danger. He just cared about her. Like, first of all, insane. But, like, also, that's what broke me, because it's like, I don't want either of them in danger, obviously, but I just need them to break the curse, you know? Like, it's like, there was a point that I didn't care how the hell they did it. Like, yeah, did I want them to get hurt? No. Like, I wanted them to be unharmed. But, like, we were at a point that I did not care. At all. And it was just like, okay, we just need to get our acts together. We need to do it. And I thought when he was coming in that, like, he was going to say that, like, yeah, we were going to break the curse, like, no matter what. Or that they actually did break the curse, and it was just an effect of it. I was like, okay, like, we'll be fine, like, I need to stop crying, or I wasn't crying yet, but, like, I need to not cry, like, I'll be fine. I was like, okay, well, like, we're gonna be fine, and then he said, like, no. That's, like, when I kind of froze, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, no. I remember, what got me the most and had me in tears was her bawling her eyes out and him watching her, and he looked so devastated that he caused that. And it's because, like, here's the thing, I do get what he meant, like, obviously, and, like, I get both parts, because she didn't want to break it up first because he was in danger, but then she was like, okay, well, like, we need to try, and then like, he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to put her in danger. I completely get that, I do, but it was so rough watching that, and I felt so numb after that episode. Like, it literally felt like I was watching one of my favorite characters die, and to me, it was literally like that, because I had to watch one of my favorite ships die, because in episode 2 and episode 3, they became one of my favorite ships of all time, and they're in my top 5 most likely, or they're number 6, I don't know, because I'm watching so many shows now, like, I'm watching new shows, for me at least. My rankings is getting a little fucked up, and I can't figure it out now. I know they're number 5 or number 6 on my list, and so, like, it felt like my favorite character was dying, and it kind of was. It felt like somebody was ripping my heart out of my chest. It felt like I died. And, like, when I tell you, like, after that ended, I could not move. I sat in because I was laying down. I was laying on my stomach watching in my room. I laid there for, like, 10 minutes, staring at the wall, being like, what the fuck did I just watch? Bawling my eyes out, being like, I want to die. Like, there's no way I just witnessed that heartbreak. There's no way that just happened. Like, what the fuck? And, like, after that, like, after I had, like, that 10 minutes to kind of, like, process what I just witnessed, because it took a lot, I went on Twitter, because I was like, I know people are having the worst time on there, and I just need to know that I'm not alone. Also, I need to see it, because, like, also, when shit happens like this on shows, there are always these few people who are saying stuff that's going to come in the future, or what we're going to get eventually, that make me feel better. So I was like, okay, let's go. And I went on, and oh my gosh, I've never seen, like, I've never witnessed that crazy, like, thing on Twitter. People were a fucking disaster. Like, oh my gosh, because in between episode 1 and episode, like, 2, and, like the first 3 episodes, I started following a lot of Nancy Drew Twitter, like, accounts, and, like, Nace fans, because, like, I already did follow quite a few, but because of how into it I was getting, and how many, like, edits of them I was watching, and, like, how they were becoming one of my faves, I, like, started following a lot more to just get them. And, like, oh my gosh, that was, and, like, now, like, I've witnessed it with other ships at this point, like, with the rookie, Chenford, like, what happened with Nancy and Ace, and, like, how much I was getting them on my Twitter, has happened with them, Chenford and the rookie as well, because, like, I following a lot more, but it's, like, was the most insane thing. Like, everything, like, I scrolled for, like, 10 minutes, and everyone was having a mental breakdown, wanting to die, and then I just saw, like, I see Kennedy, like, just on there being like, hey guys, and it's just, it was so funny. It's like, even though I was devastated, seeing, like, some of the things people were saying had me dying, because it's like I was devastated as hell, but Twitter was giving me, like this, not the serotonin, but, like, the fun I needed, I guess, just because I don't know, it was just really funny to see everyone freak out like that, and it's just, it was like that for the rest of the damn season because they never got together until the end. And I just remembered the break between season 3 and episode 3 and episode 4 was literal hell for me. And that's like what started like me being in agony and me being on edge every single day over the summer. Like, they are part of the reason I was on edge in the summer, or like one of the big reasons I was, because it's like they were my whole personality at that point. I was so invested in them, and it's like I was such a mess during like all the every day that the show was, that a new episode didn't air, but specifically episode 3 through 4, I remember that break felt like a month long, because it's like I just need them to figure it out. Like, I just need them to figure it out. And I was like, okay, there's no way, like, we'll be fine, we'll live, we'll get through this. And I thought, like, by episode 4 we were gonna get some content, and we did in a way, but because of everything we went through, for me it wasn't enough, and I was a little desperate for more. And then, but like, we got some things, and like we got to see the old text, which caused a whole thing on Twitter and caused me to have another mental breakdown. And I just remember episode 5 specifically, because that was rough. Oh my gosh, because that was the first time they actually talked since that. And I remember I was watching it, and I remember just losing my shit every time they looked at each other, or specifically he looked at her, because Girly did not want to talk to him. And like, just any moment with them, I remember just like literally wanting to scream, like wanting to throw up. Like, I was such a mess. And that scene at the end was what fucked me up the most. Like, I'm saying, like, him calling her the love of his life, first of all, very rude. Like, the fact you're gonna do that, and like, do that to me specifically, was so beyond rude. Like, that was so fucked up. Like, he deserves jail time for that. And it's just like, I'm saying, like, I hope we find, like, after you, I won't settle for any less, like, finding a new, like, love. First of all, like, that kind of freaked me out, because it's like, there's no way they're gonna, like, get new love interest this season. But then I was also like, maybe they will, because they didn't know it was gonna be the end until, like, they already were, like, on episode 10 or something. So, like, I was, like, kind of half and half. But then I was also like, no, like, this is just gonna be, like, leading them to get back to breaking the curse. Like, they're breaking the curse in episode 8. Like, there was this whole thing, or theory on Twitter that they were breaking the curse in episode, like, 8 or 7. And for some reason, even though, like, they were wrong with episode 3 being the one they break the curse in, I was desperate for content. I was an emotional wreck. I needed them to get back together, so I trusted them, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's go. So I assumed we were getting them back, and of course, and then episode 6, which, oh my god, watching that for the first time was such a fucking mess, because I just remember, like, laying in my bed again, like I do, watching TV, and, like, eating my dinner, and then, like, I would want to die every time Tristan popped up on my screen. I think that's his name. Tristan? Isn't that his name? I hope it is. But you know who I'm talking about. Like, don't get me wrong, I thought he was a good character. He seemed like he is a nice guy. And, like, he's really attractive. I'll give him that. But it's because I was so, like, obsessed with Nancy and Ace. Like, I didn't care who you were. You're dead to me if you try to get in between. And I was like, yeah, they're gonna go down this route. Because, like, love interest, get them jealous, get all this angst. But it was very rude, especially that ending of him watching her dance with him when he was trying to bring out Chunky to her. And then he let the fucking or like ferret, go. First of all, I love Ace, but that was so petty of him to do. Like, I get it, I do. He was upset, he was heartbroken, like, I do get it, but he was so unhinged for that, just like, okay, fuck this, I'm gonna let the damn ferret go that I literally caught for her, and that she's been trying to catch forever. And, like, then her next episode finding out about that was hilarious, because, like, what did he expect? Like, obviously, she was going to get pissed off. And then him going to Nick about it, and, like, getting, like, ranting to him about his relationship with Nancy, and then Nancy going to talk about, like, Ace. Or, no, she went for another reason, but, like, they were also talking about Ace and all that shit. Like, that was so cute. Like, oh my gosh. But, like, in that episode 7 was great. Like, the whole board game thing was literally incredible. Like, I had such a good time watching it. But that damn ending, again, with Nancy and Ace was awful. Like, how many times were they going to break up before they even got together? Like, we had season 3 in the finale when, like, she was like, that wasn't even really a breakup, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't have feelings for you. So we had that, which was the worst thing on the planet. But then also, I don't even really consider that a breakup because he didn't know at that point. But then also I kind of do. We had that. Then we had in episode 3, like, the true, real breakup. We had that. Like, the first official one. Then we had episode 5. Then episode 7. And then we kind of had, like, an episode 11 or 12. I think it was 12. Actually, I think we had 11 and 12. We had two other breakups. And I was like, how many times are they going to break up when they haven't even, like, officially gotten together? Like, that is so insane, and that was so rude of them to do. Like, let me be happy. Let me live my life. Let me not want to die while I watch the show. Like, I'm so serious. They really were my personality the whole summer, because they didn't want me to be happy. They kept throwing this stupid shit out, and then they, like, obviously didn't break the curse in episode 7. And, like, they had that other breakup. And her saying, I want you to let me move on. Because you broke my damn heart. And I was like, okay, first of all, that was so rude. But I was like, okay, we're not getting them back this episode. So maybe episode 9. And then we didn't even really get any content with them episode 8. Actually, no, episode 8 we did get quite a bit. We got a bit of closure, not closure, but, like, them kind of talking at the end and, you know, all that. So we got that, and that was great. That was good. Had an incredible time. But then episode 9 and episode 10, we got, like, nothing of them. Nothing, because we had Nancy and, like, the new love interest. Which is, like, I didn't hate him, so I was, like, somewhat okay with it. And I think if I didn't like her and Ace as much as I did, or do, I would have been 100% fine with it. But because I did, I was very much not okay with it. And I was scared going into the last few episodes, because there was a point that I was like, they're not breaking the curse. Like, they're not gonna get together. Like, it's done. Because it's just, they hadn't brought up the curse in a couple of episodes, and the curse wasn't even brought up in, like, the second to last episode, so I was like, okay, we're fucked. Because especially with episode, like, 11, or actually a few episodes before, with the, what was it? Oh my gosh, why can I not think? Oh my gosh. Okay, the girl that was the ghost that died and he could save. That whole thing. And I was like, okay, like, first of all, honey, you said you weren't going to settle for anything less, and I know you're, like, in love with Nancy, but falling for a ghost, now that's a little crazy and depressing. like, I let it slide for him because I knew poor man was going through it. But, like, with that and then Tristan, I was like, okay, yeah, we're not gonna win. We're fucked. We're screwed. Like, we're not gonna get our end game, especially because their fight in that episode, I was like, okay, perfect. Like, we're done. And then in episode, I think, was it 12? Yeah, 12. When they, we had more scenes of them, but they were, like, arguing half the time, and he found out that she called the, oh my gosh, what is it? What's it called? I cannot think of what it's called, but you know what Tristan is, whatever he is. Sin Eater, right? Isn't it a Sin Eater? I want to say it's a Sin Eater. She called that to erase, because the memories of him not being able to save someone because he felt so guilty. First of all, her doing that just shows how much she loves him, because the fact that she couldn't bear to see him deal with that guilt was insane and had me in tears, first of all. But I do get why he was mad about it. I do. But it also just showed how much she loved him, that she didn't know what to do. She was just didn't want him hurting, and she wanted to do whatever she could to save him. You know, it's I get both sides. I do. But with that whole argument, I was like, okay, we're not. But then I also thought about the fact that she admitted to him she hasn't moved on from him. She hasn't. She's just having to deal with it right now. So I was seeing both sides. I was like, okay, I don't know where this is going. But then when he said what you did was unforgivable, I was like, okay, fuck. So we're really not getting them this season. I came to that point, especially because the curse was not brought up that episode. And I was like, this is the second to last episode. If they're not bringing up the curse, we're not breaking it. We're not going to get our end game. We are fucked. And so I came to that point. So when I tell you I was such a mess, I mean such a mess, the day of the finale, because I just came to the conclusion that we're not winning. I was we're so done. We're so fucked. We're not getting it. And so I was such a mess. I wanted to cry all day because I was like I cannot believe we're actually not going to get them. So I was just kind of okay. So I watched the finale. You know, I had been on edge all day. I was I'm still going to obviously watch it. I'm going to enjoy it as much as I can, even though I feel we're not going to get them. And, watching the finale, first of all, was an emotional roller coaster. I bawled my eyes out at the end. And I mean bawled. I was hyperventilating. It was not... I was having a rough-ass time. But, I remember watching it while I was eating my dinner. And I was okay, it's not looking very promising. But then it was. You know, at, some points when he was, talking to Tristan, but then also... Or, he... the way they were looking at each other and he wanted, to help. I was okay, maybe. And then... I was okay, maybe. And then when we found out Tristan and Nancy were not soulmates and were linked because she accidentally killed him in another life, I was okay, you know, this is getting a little more promising. I was okay, maybe we'll be fine. I guess we'll see. So I was okay. And then when we were when he said I now, when they were talking, and he's now I know, what you did, it's forgivable, because I know you did for love, and all that. I was okay, we might actually get there, but then I also still felt that was just closure, and we actually weren't, because we were so close to the end. And when, he basically saved her out of the thing, and then the thing burned, but I was okay, maybe not, and then I really thought we weren't. Because we got, the cute, scene of them at the end of... Or, all of them besides Ace, which first of all pissed me off because the fact that he was not a part of like the Drew crew or whatever family scenes like a lot this season pissed me off. Like I get he was going through it and him and Nancy were kind of like separate, like going their separate ways, but like kind of avoiding each other. That was still so fucked up because he was never there and it like made me want to cry. But like when we got that and we didn't, and like it was really getting close to the end of the episode, like 10 or something minutes left, I was like, yeah, we're done. Like there's no way in hell we are getting them. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like how the hell am I gonna live my life knowing that they aren't Endgame? Like that's gonna, like this, even though like no one died, they were gonna be my biggest loss if I didn't get them. So I was like on complete edge last few minutes, and then he finally fucking showed up at that where she was. I keep forgetting what it's called, but like that place. And I was like, okay, like maybe this is just closure, or maybe we're gonna get them. So I was like, I couldn't breathe. I was just like sitting there like holding my stuffed animal, like being like, okay, like let's go, please just kiss, like please say something about the curse being done because I'm so over this. Like I just need, even if I was like, okay, this is so bad, but I was like, I don't care if someone's gonna die at this point. I just need one more kiss to finalize this. Like if someone dies, I will hate everything, but I'm just so desperate, like I do not care. Like, I was at that point. And like I never want characters that I love to die, but I was there. Like that just shows how insane I was about them. The fact that I was like, I don't care if someone dies at this point, I just need a kiss. Like I was just so desperate. And like he was talking to her, and first of all said he was going to med school. I was like, oh my gosh, hell yeah, like let's go. But then he was talking to her and it was like the curse, and they finally brought it up. I was like, okay, like the curse is broken, like we're fine. And I was still a bit worried that, not that she moved on, she obviously hadn't, but that she like wasn't gonna want to do it because of everything that's happened, and like all that, because she was leaving, and even she said that. But I'm happy like they obviously made them Endgame, because I think that would have caused, first of all, such a destruction on Twitter. Like, oh my gosh, people would have lost their shit if they weren't, first of all. But also it's like, we deserved it. We really did. After all we had to go through with those two, it's like we deserved it. And when he was like, they held hands and nothing broke, that's when like I stopped breathing and I like froze. I was like, oh my gosh, like we finally made it. And I was about to cry because it was close to the end of the episode, and also just the fact that I could not believe we actually made it. I was like, oh my gosh, and then they fucking kissed, and it was so good. Like the way they kissed, incredible, show-stopping, like insane. Like I think I might have liked it a bit more than the other one because they were scared to do it, but like not as nervous, you know, because like they already held hands and nothing broke, so they were like, okay, like why the hell not? And I loved how he like stopped in between to kind of like freak her out and just be like, yeah, whatever, I'm fine. And then I was like, okay, so like we didn't, after that I was kind of mad we didn't get like one more scene of like them calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, yeah, I would have, like, obviously I knew they were like official after that, because in the final scene, which that fucked me up completely, oh my gosh, because they were holding hands, she kissed his hand, which insane, and then they hugged. So like I knew they were together, but I was hoping we were gonna get them calling each other girlfriend and boyfriend just like once, because we're never gonna see Nancy and Ace be a couple, which is so rude and so like hard for me to think about, because like the fact we're never gonna see that is one of my biggest losses, because they would have been like, I just want to know what they would have been like as an official couple, even though I kind of already have a feeling just from what we saw. It's like I just wanted to see them like hold hands and like go on dates, like kiss, like all the time. It's like we're never gonna see that, and that's why I'm still trying, or like not trying, still holding out hope for a movie. Like, do I think it's gonna happen? Not really. But then, you never know. Like, maybe they'll come back. I'm still holding out hope. Because I feel like the cast would come back if they gave the opportunity. So, I mean, I'm still crossing my fingers for it. Because I'm just so desperate, honestly. Like, I don't give a fucking shit about anything with the movie if they do it, unless they are still together. Like, if they are broken up in the finale, if they do a movie and they're broken up, I don't want it. But like, even though they did a really good job wrapping it up the way they did, like, the final episode was incredible, and like the ending I bawled my eyes out. It's just, I need a bit more. I just want one more time, because I'm just desperate to see them as a couple, you know. It's like, after all they put me through that summer, I deserve it, because, like, you know, summer is supposed to be happy, supposed to be fun, and I was on edge every fucking day that there wasn't a new episode, but then I was on even more edge when there was an episode. Like, there was no peace. None. And it was basically my whole summer. Like, a few days after I graduated, or like, yeah, a few days, the first episode aired, and then like a few weeks before I went back to school, or I moved into my dorm, actually like 2 weeks, I think, before I went back to my dorm, or I moved into my dorm, that show ended. So it's basically my whole summer, and I'm not, like, being dramatic. I was on edge. Like, okay, yeah, I am being dramatic, the fact that I get this invested in shows. Like, I'm a maniac. But, like, my best friend, like, she was invested in, like, how into it I was at a point. Because I remember, like, I talked to her, like, if we were driving somewhere, and I was talking to her in the car after episode 3 aired, because I was, like, so desperate. She was asking me how shows were going. And I was telling her about it, because I've never talked to her about this specific show, I don't think, because I wasn't as into it as I am now and then. And I was talking to her about it, and she was like, oh, like, that sounds fucking horrendous, like, first of all. But then as I, like, and, like, each time I saw her after that, she was like, okay, so how's it going? Like, what's going on? Because she, like, wanted to know, because it sounded awful, and she just wanted to know. And I remember when she left for college, I remember, like, it was the second to last episode, she, like, left. She was texting me, so she was like, so, did they kiss? Like, what, did they kiss? Like, did they break the curse? Like, what's going on? And I kept telling her no, and she's like, what the hell is going on? And, like, I remember she just kept checking in on, like, me and the show throughout the week whenever we would get things, because she was just, like, because of how invested I was in it, she was getting invested because it was, like, affecting everything in my life, and I was just such a disaster. Like, I remember she FaceTimed me after the finale, and she was like, okay, girl, like, are we gonna cry tonight? Like, what's going on? Because she could tell I was crying before over the show, and I think, even though she knows I cry over endings, I think she was worried that, like, I was gonna be a fucking mess because I didn't get my endgame, which I did. But it's like, if I ever get her on this podcast, which I'm trying, it's just our schedules never work out because we're always busy. If I get her on here, I will get her to tell you how insane my obsession with these two are. Like, you can probably already tell from the way I'm rambling about them, because, like, I rant about chips all the time, but, like, the ones that I adore, like, more than anything and are my top, I could go on forever ranting about them. And the fact that they fucked up my summer just shows how insane I am about them. And also the fact that now I'm not so sure, but between the end of August into, like, October, they were, like, all I was posting on Instagram. Like, occasionally other things, but, like, now I haven't posted them as much, just because, like, I have no motivation, and I'm also sad thinking about the fact that I'm never getting them back. But, like, they were literally all I posted, like, every fucking day, I would post something about them. And, like, that just shows, like, the Nace brain rot is real, and if you have not watched Nancy Drew, I highly recommend it. Even though, yeah, we're not getting another season, the way they did the finale, it did not end on a cliffhanger, it was good. And it's so good. But if you don't want to be heartbroken, over ships, don't watch it. Because, like, season 4 is going to fuck you up completely. And season 3, episode 13 is going to fuck you up as well. Because even though season 4 affected me, like, so much, like, as a whole, other than episode 3, episode 3 is the worst episode for me just because of how much it mentally destroyed me. Overall, it was great. And if I wasn't that into it, I think I would have been fine. But episode 13 was the second worst of season 3 because of it, like, what happened. I mean, you all know. The fact that I finally got them. And then I lost them. And I bawled my eyes out. And it's just like, the fact that my obsession grew with them, and I was even more of a mess over everything else the next season, was actually insane. And, like, it's just, this damn show took over my life. And it just feels so weird that it's, like, summer again. And it's been a year. And it's like, I'm not getting them back. Like, last summer, even though it fucked me up, I had such a good time watching it every week. It's just like, I miss it. And I could cry right now because I miss them. And I need some new content. I just want Kennedy and, oh my gosh, why Alex? That's his name, right? Alex, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's his name. I just need them to reunite. I just need the cast to reunite. I just want a new, like, Nace kind of picture of them. I'm just desperate. I need the movie. Give me a petition, actually, there was already a petition, but give me as many petitions as you can. I will sign all of them to get them to come back to me. I'll do anything. It's, oh my gosh. Like, I miss them. Like, I can't believe it's been this long. It's just, like, a year ago, I was watching season 4, and that was the beginning of my, like, real Nace brain rot journey, and them taking over my life and becoming one of my favorite ships ever. It's like, it's crazy. And I think I probably should end the episode now because I don't know what else to say. Because I could go on and on and on about these motherfuckers and how they ruined my life. But I think I should just stop now. So thank you so much for listening. Sorry it was a mess. I mean, all my episodes are rant, but these rant episodes are probably even more of a mess because I'm just full out ranting about how insane things are. So I'm sorry. But again, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys soon.